We all have a dream. Paul's dream was to explore East Africa. Each time he looked at the map, he would wonder what the scenery looked like, imagining the Great Rift Valley with mountains and lakes, but also vast plains and migrating wildlife. After 12 years of contemplating, Paul made up his mind. It's now or never, he said to himself. He would follow in the footsteps of Stanley and Livingstone with a touch of 20th century. Wanting to add something meaningful to the adventure, his plan was also to pioneer the use of email among African scientists to improve their access to communication. And Petra couldn't resist the opportunity to join him.
Paul was looking for a teammate and sponsors.
Petra was the last name on my list.
I told him that it's not because he's a man and I'm a woman that he'll do the mechanics and I the dishes, just so that he knows that it'll be 50-50.
When I first met Petra, she didn't look like an explorer. High heels, lipstick, and a fur. I thought to myself, man, what are you getting yourself into?
I had never camped a single day in my life, let alone drive a 4x4 on serious off-road. I didn't even plan to travel through Africa in the first place, but then again, he had a 4x4 and knew all about mechanics.
And so they decided to travel together from Brussels to Cape Town. They had known each other for just 2 weeks.
Let me introduce myself. I am the other half of the expedition. Judging from my accent, you've probably already guessed that I'm from the Flemish tribe. I'm not the best of speakers, but as anyone from Venus, I just love to talk and will rather leave the photography to Paul, who, by the way, is from the French side of Belgium. A simple action can steer your life in totally unexpected directions. Mid-December 1993, when I returned to the office, there was a note on my desk. It said, "A certain Paul Goddard called regarding Africa. Referred to you by Andre. Please return call." I had no idea of who or what it was about, but I returned the call that would change my life forever. Paul had started planning his overland expedition, and he was looking for a teammate and sponsors. Only much later would I find out that my name was the very last on a long list of 420 people, all friends of a friend of a friend. Curiosity killed the cat, and I suggested we meet the next day. 2 weeks later, after several meetings and brutally honest discussions, we decided to go for it. An overland IT expedition from Brussels to Cape Town. I had hardly ever seen a laptop from nearby, didn't have the slightest clue about the internet, had never touched a 4x4, let alone camped in the wilderness. Ignorance is bliss. And of course, we did not have the money to finance our dream expedition. Who would? It just shows that if you're totally focused on what you want to achieve, and you work your butts off like we did, you will succeed. We got the whole expedition sponsored, even though everybody was convinced this would be quite impossible. For me, the most difficult part was not getting a full IT training. The real challenge was to recreate a comfort zone with basics that we tend to take for granted. How can you invent a new lifestyle if you can only remotely imagine what it will be like and foresee the unforeseeable with regards to breakdowns and medical emergencies? But the greatest challenge of all was to establish the rules of the game with someone I didn't know. One thing, however, was for sure: quitting was not an option. After 3 farewell parties and 9 months of around-the-clock preparations, we closed the door of our safe home in Brussels in exchange for 70,000 kilometers of untamed adventure. Imagine living, working and sleeping in 4 cubic meters for 4 years while traveling from Belgium to South Africa. Being the only vehicle in one of the largest national parks in Africa. Crossing sensitive borders with a fortune in high-tech IT equipment. Sometimes not even seeing another vehicle in 7 days while covering 2,000 kilometers.